Welcome to Cannabis Church. It's another Sunday. This is Cannabis Church, September 19th, 2021. And we are live here on MWE Networks at Twitch. And Nydia will be live next week here as well as on Clubhouse for all of those who are our audio listeners. Thank you. Apologize for not being able to get any kind of signal service and get my Clubhouse to work properly from this temporary location. We will be back up and running fully eventually, but thank you for your patience. I love you all very much, congregation on Clubhouse. So you can tune in next week live in the Cannabis Church room for Nydia's sermon, for her guest sermon. I'm really excited for that. Thank you for watching this on our YouTube channel, and for all of those that are listening to the official Cannabis Church podcast later on, wherever you are. May you be blessed and enriched by cannabinoids in your life to help your better wellness with your endocannabinoid system. Thank you for being here. These, once again, are my opinions. These are my opinions and do not represent the views and opinions of anyone else but me. And I'm not selling any cannabis products here, okay? I'm not growing it for anyone. And I'm not here to save your soul. But I do have shirts available. Not this one. This is a one of a kind, only for me. But I do have shirts available, so that's how one of many ways you can support Cannabis Church and Pastor Casey. Thank you. So welcome to Sunday service, where we preach the holy healing plant, God's gift to Mother Earth, and our sacred sacrament. No judge, just love. All pronouns, faiths, and faithless are welcome at Cannabis Church. We are here to end the stigma of the devil's lettuce and connect to better wellness personally, spiritually, socially, and for the planet. Whether you need connection to humanity or the universe or the great creator of your choice, or if you just need good vibes and to meditate with love and light, all are welcomed with green grace in this safe space. I'm your Pastor Casey. Welcome to Cannabis Church. You can partake in the smokable or edible sacrament of your choice at any time during Cannabis Church. Consume freely. I'm not here to bless the holy plant, because the cannabis plant blesses our endocannabinoid system. So let me pray. Hello, universe. I'm listening. I'm always listening. You know I'm listening. Doesn't mean I always have done what you say, but I'm always listening. And I'm appreciative of your grace and patience with me, because I know you want me to be happy, universe, and I know you love me. Thank you for providing this space for me this week, and for our congregation, and for those new to the space and finding us and wondering what Cannabis Church is about. We hope they are listening, truly listening, with an open heart, an open mind, and open ears, and open consciousness to really absorb what's being said here today. To truly listen to people around them, to their souls, to their inner voice, to their guts, to their own guidance, to the universe, to listen to universe, and to listen to the children, listen to the planet, so that we can listen to the planet who's crying out in pain right now, so that we can listen to Mother Earth in all her wonderful beauty that we are destroying as humanity, so that we can listen to the scientists who've been warning us. That's my prayer today. Thank you. I'm humbled to be here, universe. Amen, 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 amen. Thank you to our music director, Darrell Johnson for bringing that plant love spirit vibe into the room. For those who listen to the recordings after the fact, that's his music. Love his spirit, love that man. Love his music. Thank you for working with me in general. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Well, Cannabis Church does have some church merch, which we have shirts. In other words, that's one way you can support us. Hit up the Cannabis Tree link tree for links and other ways that you can donate and support me in Cannabis Church and help keep me in my sacred sacrament for one, and just help us expand Cannabis Church in the ways I want to, that I see moving forward. Because listening, that's today's sermon, is listening. I have to listen to my own body these days because of my health, especially with my use of cannabis and other medications, and what's affecting me and how it affects me. I have to listen to my body right before starting this broadcast because I had my neck brace on too tight, and I was like, "Oh, that's restrictive. That's going to cause some neck issues somewhere down the road in my sermon here." So I had to listen to my body. I had to listen to my body when it was like right before I was about to broadcast. I had to use the bathroom because part of my neuropathy issues is I can't feel my guts. Okay, so I can't. My warning system for when I have to go number 1 or 2 is so short now that I don't like to be too far from bathrooms anymore. That is just the nature of my reality now, and I have to listen to my body for those reasons, and it was a close call. I'll be honest with you, it was a close call, but I have to listen to my body and do what's right for my own health in that way. Listen to the universe as I'm up here doing my sermons and getting ready for them weekly and daily as people keep coming to me and telling me what my responsibilities are as a pastor and trying to guide me. But I listen, but I'm listening to my guidance where it's always come from the other side, and where it always will be. Because that in itself, me and my connection to the universe, God, that's a whole nother long story. That's its own sermon. But I have to listen to that and respect that as I give myself to it freely. I have to listen to the plant I'm growing as my own medicine and what it needs so that it can reach its full potential as my own medicine, my own sacrament. Is anyone listening now? Is anyone there? Hello? Anyone care? Do I care? I care. Do I care if anyone's here live on my Twitch channel right this second? No, I don't. Because I'm going to do this no matter what, whether it's for 1, 2, 20, 50, 100,000 people. I will still be here doing Cannabis Church. Do I care if they're listening after the fact? I hope they are. I do care, yeah. Because I care what my words that are coming out of my mouth mean. And what I've been saying here week to week at Cannabis Church. Just like I know that those that are truly listening will hear what they need to hear at Cannabis Church. Just like those not listening will hear whatever the fuck they want to hear. That's right. They hear whatever they want to hear. Doesn't matter what I say, what you say to them, they're going to hear whatever they want to hear because they're not truly listening. They might just be listening for silence. You know the type of people. They're just waiting for their turn to talk. They're not listening to what you say, or they're hearing cliff notes in their head. They're not actually listening to the words and full sentences and the paragraphs and the stories that are coming out of your mouth. They're just waiting to talk. Such a shame we do that to each other. That's not truly listening. Listening with your heart, like I was talking about last week. Thinking with our hearts. We got to listen with our heart. Listen with compassion and empathy. That's the best way to understanding. Listen with patience. It'd be hard for me sometimes. I admit it. I could be a very impatient person. But we have to learn to listen with all those things, with the empathy, compassion, patience, to get to the understanding. And we hope, I pray that people will stop listening like children, right? Children are antsy and move around, they get bored, and it's hard to keep the attention of children. That's what I feel like is us as the cannabis community when we're talking to people who are against us and hate us so much and want us to fail so badly. They want us to fail. It's like talking to children. They're not listening. They're not truly listening to what we're saying. When we're telling our own personal stories, there was some dude in here that discounted Don Quinique's personal story after the fact in Clubhouse, when she was telling about her personal trauma and pain that she goes through, and how cannabis helps relieve that. And dude had the audacity to say that she's delusional, like she doesn't know her own body, like she's not listening, like she's not listening to her body and what it's telling her when it's in pain and it's in suffering and it's in actual physical pain. Cannabis helps her with that, just like it does me. I had to kick that dude out of the room. Like, come on, really? We don't need that space, that kind of attitude to Cannabis Church. This is supposed to be a safe space for my congregation. But that's part of it. Not listening. We know they're not listening, and it's okay. It's okay. We're going to talk. We're going to keep talking, because the people who need to hear and will listen and need to hear what we're saying will eventually hear what we're saying, because they will listen with the proper intentions, with love and respect. Right? Like I was talking about last week, with love and respect. Listen to our inner child. They talk about it in therapy. If you've ever been to a therapist, if you have a life coach, I bet you he's told you, or you've meditated or anything like that, someone has probably told you to listen to your inner child at one point. Your inner child has probably screamed out at you throughout your adulthood for attention and told you to listen to your inner child. Because it's a place of innocence. It's coming at a place of wanting to know and learn, even though we can be little antsy children and just want to know everything now. And if we don't get it, screw it. On to the next thing, and we're impatient. I mean, we are children of the universe. But listening to that inner child, that's great advice. And I have to listen to my inner child, I have not really, I didn't really leave my inner child behind. Most people who know me for a long time will probably tell you that anyway. I've always been a little boisterous, outgoing, loud, rambunctious, energetic, ADHD, little me. Now it's just kind of an adult. I used air quotes for those listening to this. Air quotes on adult. And how often is it we don't listen to children? I don't have any kids. I got tons of nieces and nephews that I love every single one of them to death. None above the others. I love all of them, every single one of them. And I miss them. And I hate not being able to see them as much as I would like. That's life. But do we listen to the kids in our lives? Kids, anxiety shows up in the form of stomach aches. A lot of times kids will complain about stomach aches. This has been scientifically proved. When they have anxiety about a situation or a person or something. That's the kid listening to themselves and the situation that they don't want to be in that's causing them stomach issues and anxiety. We need to listen to them when they're talking about that. I know, mother knows best, father knows best, right? But are we truly listening to the kids? Look, I was dyslexic as a kid. It was before there was really broad talk about dyslexia and programs nationwide in public schooling to help kids like me with dyslexia. My third grade, I think, I don't know, third grade teacher wanted to hold me back a year. She wasn't listening to me, but my mom was. My mom wasn't going to hold me back. She helped me overcome my reading disabilities and my dyslexia, with both of us not really knowing what it was. And it wasn't until I was in high school that my brain really clicked and I really re-taught. Not through any programs. I had to reteach myself how to read properly because of my dyslexia. Because I listened to my brain and everything going on and was like, that's just, something's not clicking here when I read. It's just not right. You know? So I listened to that, and thank God my mom listened to me during that and fought for me as a student, as her child. But I was also a hyperglycemic child. I didn't know that. My mom didn't know that. I've told the story in past sermons on how I found out I was hyperglycemic, which causes me to feel extremely ill, nauseous, get headaches, and violently throw up my stomach acid if I don't eat on a regular basis. It sucks. It's not fun at all. I didn't know that as a kid. I just knew how I felt. But I was forced to fast because of my mom's religion growing up, whenever they would do that. And it would make me sick. And I wasn't listened to because I was just a kid. What do I know what I was talking about? But it physically made me sick. It wasn't in my head. It wasn't in my imagination. Hyperglycemic. And I found out when I was an adult. Because nobody listened to me in that case when I was a child. I was molested. Didn't feel like I could tell anyone till I was an adult. You know? I didn't feel like anyone was listening. Who was actually listening that I could tell that I was molested to? There was no one that I felt I could trust with that information. So I kept it hidden until I was 20. First person I ever told, I was 20. I was 7 years, I kept that secret because no one was listening. So we're listening to our kids, we're listening to the teenagers. Right now, behind my sermon on my laptop is the Steelers versus Raiders game that I was listening to and watching right before this. It's on mute, so that way I can't listen to it while I'm giving my sermon. But I prefer listening to it. I can watch it without sound, but I prefer listening to it because I like hearing the commentators. I like hearing the specialists and the people beforehand and afterwards talk and analyze the game, especially so many of them being ex-NFL football players themselves, coming at it from their own story, their own perspective. So many experts on the game with different analytical minds coming at it. I love hearing their opinions because I love me some football. I love the NFL. And I turn to them to listen to them because I value their opinions and trust their opinions. They played the game. They've studied the game. They've lived the game. So I listen to them. Are you listening to the cannabis community? I'm talking to you, Biden, lawmakers, all you politicians. I'm talking to the reverends and pastors. I'm talking to the family members, the friends, the coworkers. Are you listening to the people around you? Are you listening to the actual cannabis community talking? Because I have. I've been on Clubhouse with them. They've taught me more over the last 3 months than I ever expected to learn. I thought I knew a lot about cannabis and hemp and CBD and THC and Cannabinoids. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know what a cannabinoid was a year ago. I do now. Do you? Do you know what the cannabinoids are? Do you know what an endocannabinoid system is that I've been talking about here at church religiously for weeks? Endocannabinoid system. I'll spell it out right here for you so you can Google it later. Because I've been asking you to do the research. Have you been listening to that? Have you been listening to the cannabis community talk about that? There's doctors literally going back to school just to study the endocannabinoid system because they weren't taught about it. They were not taught about it, and they are now finding out that they have a deficiency in knowledge that they went to acquire to have the wisdom to help heal and help humanity. But because we just found out about the endocannabinoid system in the 1990s, the scientists and the doctors, they couldn't teach about that. They didn't know about that. They're still finding out about that. And they can't do the proper research because it's a Schedule I drug and it's illegal in all 50 states. Biden, Kamala, all the rest of you, time to fix that shit now. Not next week, not next month, not the next political cycle or talking point when you're running for politics again. It's time to fix that now. That's what the cannabis community is saying. The medical patients, the veterans are saying it, the industry is saying it, religious people like myself are saying it, and while you're all jumping down my throat, the majority of my coming and going congregation weekly is Christian based and Jewish based, as well as a mix of all kinds of other people here at Cannabis Church. That's what we're here to do, is listen to them and listen to the cannabis community and listen to the plant. Because what the plant and what our ancestors were telling us about cannabis and hemp has been stolen from us thanks to 90 years of prohibition. It hasn't even been a full 100 years of prohibition. Because oil company didn't want the competition, the paper mills didn't want the competition, alcohol didn't want the competition then. Big Pharma doesn't want the competition now. Do you really think the Boston Tea Party was about tea? English tea company? Was it cannabis tea company? George Washington grew it. Benjamin Franklin grew it. In fact, the poem, The Cherry Tree, about George Washington is about the fact that he was a master cannabis grower. His dad and everybody, the adults, revered how well he grew it. Cherry trees weren't in the United States, so Japan gave it to us in the early 1900s. Come on, people. These are the kinds of things I'm learning. I'm learning how to grow my own medicine and how to respect and love this sacred plant, so that it respects and loves me back as my own medicine that I need. It's not a matter of want, it's a matter of need. Not an addiction. Can't get addicted to pot, people, okay? Sorry. Look to all those people on your left and right that are addicted to alcohol like I used to be, or nicotine like I used to be, or popping pills like I never have been. I've always hated pills. Probably because they're so strong, the way they affect me. Pills, whoo, make me dead inside and in the brain. They rot me from the inside out, pills do. But that's also another thing I found on the Clubhouse and the cannabis community is people really listening to each other, listening to each other's stories. Not waiting to talk, not talking over each other like in a lot of the other chat rooms on Clubhouse, but listening with intention and compassion and empathy and understanding, truly listening to one another, listening to each other's ideas on how to improve the cannabis community, the industry, the laws, the planet, how to fix the planet, because the planet's crying out, it needs fixing. Like Don Quinique, crushing it every time she comes into a room with her presence and command of her words. She is a patient and powerful woman And I hope everyone hears her words. Truly listens and hears her words. Not just listens and hears them, but feels them. Feels those words, because trust me, she feels it. I had an hour conversation on the phone with her, not on these rooms. We called. We actually had a conversation. Connected. Cannabis connected us, and then we connected to each other. And I enjoyed that connection and loved that entire conversation. The only reason I had to get off the phone is because I was listening to my bladder at the time. But I hope everyone feels those words, because they drip off her tongue like poetry. But she's not writing poetry. She's throwing up prayers to her God every time she speaks and every time she's doing those words. Telling her extremely vulnerable story, personal story. Terps in Brazil. I haven't talked to him in a bit, but I was talking to him in a clubhouse room the other day. And he was talking about how cannabis is great for linking with other people, for that connection with people. It helps strangers becoming friends. People coming together over a common respect for the cannabis plant. Right, Terps? That's what he was saying to me. Cannabis treats daily issues for chronic pains, and some of his female friends talking to him openly on how it helps with their menstruation pains and their period monthly. He was talking to me on how things are in Brazil, because Terps is in Brazil. He's not here in the States or in North America. He's in South America. In Brazil, that they see that the industry, that the growers are just the growers and the manufacturers are a completely separate type of a thing in the manufacturers. And there's a real breakdown in knowledge in what's going on there between all of that. So finding people that are the actual growers to manufacturers to the finished product is a lot more difficult. And people have been smoking RSO oils because they're not properly educated, and it's about getting the proper education. RSO oil is great. We know it has helped people cure their cancer, but you throw it on a cracker or on a banana or on an apple slice or something and eat that. You're supposed to digest that. That is not smokable, because solvents are bad. That's why education is important. And Terps is a big proponent against solvents and unsafe practices and home-based practices when you're making stuff at home, and why it's important to have a good, reliable, quality, professionally made product that you can trust. Are you listening to the cannabis community? That's what they're saying. That's what they're asking for, is products that they can trust from reliable sources and good industry practices. We don't want the days of illegal, don't know what we're getting and putting in our systems. We want those days to be gone. And those of us in the cannabis community that choose to go into that way, that's just because the shit's being overtaxed, and we don't want to pay your bullshit taxes because you're overtaxing everything and ruining the industry on purpose. We know what you're doing. But especially down there's lead line manufacturing equipment in Brazil that is extremely unsafe, and that's another practice he was talking about. They got to put an end to. And the end of quality without solvents is easier to make, the end product, right? Higher quality with cannabinoid spectrums. That's what we're looking for. A good, safe, higher quality product with full spectrum cannabinoids for our endocannabinoid system. And Brazil is lacking in the native science around cannabis, he was telling me. And after multiple English courses, he learned from YouTube and the internet by listening. That's how he learned the English language. He took courses, and we were talking about this, and I get it too, because I took Spanish 2 years in a row in high school. Can not speak Spanish. And like he was talking about, how they want to shove grammar down your throat is the first thing is any kind of language, and when you're learning it. But that's not how people learn. They learn by listening. Kids learn by listening. Kids learn the native tongue of wherever they're born by listening to their parents and listening to the people around there and speaking it and practicing it. By listening, not by being taught grammar first. That's why most people learn swear words in another language. That's one of the first words people learn is swear words in another language. Brother Dank. Brother Dank had morning ceremonies today on Clubhouse. He was reading from the Bible, singing worship songs on his guitar. Trucker 2 times joined in with his flute. Leah sang a little. Had a nice communal, wonderful church feeling. Yeah, on an app, on an audio app. How cool is that? And I'm grateful for David for holding that space. Bless him. In fact, Brother Dank, David, he will be filling in here at Cannabis Church on Halloween, Sunday, October 31st, for me. So I'm excited for that sermon and for him to spread his love singularity messages. Run fond of that dude. Listen to that dude talk. Like him. Leah's been talking so openly and vulnerably about her and her son's health, their journey and struggles in health, and their usage of the cannabinoids, and how it's helped their mental and physical and overall well-being, and has no problem talking openly about her love with God and cannabis in the same sentence. And I respect that. I'm listening. And then there's Cannapam. Hearing Cannapam talk the other day in the Clubhouse, hearing her talk about knowing and finding that one plant in the harvest, in a whole field of plants, knowing and just finding that one plant that needs a little extra love and tender care to catch back up and grow fully and to cultivate with the rest of the field and around it. Like talking about that being one of her gifts. Like, what a cool gift that is. Feeling the vibrations and wavelengths and the true energy of the plants by touching them. Talking about her gifts with all plants and her green thumb. Not just cannabis, but her respect and loving nature towards all things green and Mother Earth. I love hearing that. I'm listening. Are you listening to the cannabis community? Shortly after that, the green goddess pointed out that we have 4 limbs, 2 arms, 2 legs, and 20 phalanges. That's 10 fingers, 10 toes. That's 420. Humans are a walking 420. That was such a great observation. Like, the fact, everyone in that room's mind, like, immediately, everybody froze. It got so silent. Well, actually, it erupted with applause because it was just like, how have none of us put that together? Like, you know, we love the number 420 and putting those different things in science together. And we are walking endocannabinoid systems. We are walking 420s. I'm listening. That's beautiful. After she was commenting on that because Nydia, who's filling in for me next week and will be doing the live sermon. Bless you, Nydia. Love her. I cannot wait for that. You will not want to miss her sermon next week on September 26th. Here, live on Twitch and on the Clubhouse audio chat. But she had just got done pointing out how we use our mouths more than any of our other senses. Right? Because she was telling a great story about her family and talking about her son. And she's so right, though. Like, you know, I say that all the time. We're walking computers. Because of our senses, we are walking computers. Because we record everything. Touch, smell, taste, sound, sight, our 5 senses. The smell of something reminds you of something. The sound of something reminds you of something. A song will remind you of a specific memory. The smell, the sight of something brings back and triggers memories because those senses record everything we do. We're walking computers. We're walking sensories. So that observation by Nydia struck hard and struck deep, and I was just like, yes, girl, preach. So I can't wait for her next week. That's going to be an amazing sermon. And Heather and Irma were in the Hemp for Victory room. talking about hemp replacing plastic for the entire planet. There's some out there that exists now, but it's not very eco-friendly. And how we as the cannabis community have been crying out for an eco-friendly hemp plastic product for our packaging and hemp packaging in general for the entire hemp, CBD, and cannabis community and industry. But how many, look, I'm listening. How many farmers have gone under because they were told there's so much money in hemp and just grew the hemp, not understanding that there was not an industry in place for their hemp yet. Destroying all these local tiny farmers because we're not allowed to put the things in place we need, marketing, banking, to move the industry forward, to have the supply chain for the supply and demand, because the demand is out there, but we can't supply the demand. And that's part of what's going on in the industry. Not just in the States, but worldwide. But I'm from the United States, so, I come from a state's perspective. But we're demanding it. Are you listening to the cannabis community? We demand it. And we wish Heather's company all the best in their production of a fully biodegradable hemp plastic that will change the world. Because that's what they're working on right now. That's freaking amazing. Michael Myers was sharing his portrait of a high priest of Shinto out of Japan. They use the cannabis as their sacrament, and they even use the cannabis leaf to adorn their robes. Beautiful robe, beautiful picture. And then he told the George Washington truth about the cherry tree story again. I love hearing that story, and I could listen to Mike talk all day long. I'm listening. Boy, am I listening. I listened to Derek Cantrell from Louisiana talking about the destruction of the hurricane that just devastated Louisiana. How he's not seeing enough of it on the news because there's no money in that, right? There's no money in that. They don't want to talk about what's going down in Louisiana right now, right? Who's listening to them in Louisiana? I was listening. He has a cannabis company that was destroyed by the hurricane, destroyed almost all of his equipment. Some of it survived so that he can rebuild his cannabis business, but right now he's out there helping feed and clothe the linemen that are out there restoring power to the community. Him and other members of the neighborhood and the community are out there making sure they're fed and that they're staying warm and hydrated to get power back to the people of Louisiana and their community. Huh? Oh yeah, lazy stoners, right? Bunch of fucking drug dealers. Are you listening to the cannabis community? Are you listening to what they're out there actually doing? They're a part of your community too. I'm listening. He's listening to the needs of others. That's the greatest form of love in these difficult times. That's what Derek Cantrell's out there doing. He's out there listening. Bless him. Bless everyone else out there helping feed the linemen and helping clean up after those devastating hurricanes. I hope they're truly listening to the people around them. Because they're listening to their heart and their compassion, and that's why they're helping. And that's what we need. We need people to listen to the community, to the cannabis community, to the cannabis industry, to those who come in the cannabis industry, especially, with love and respect for the sacred cannabis plant. Because the demand is there, but there's not enough suppliers, and especially not enough suppliers that are cost effective for the industry. There is no supply chain big enough for the industry. I'm not just talking about the plastic and the packaging. I'm talking about everything any business needs to survive. There is not enough of when it comes to hemp and cannabis industry and community. So are you listening? Are you listening to what we're asking for? We're not asking for it. We're demanding it. We're not waiting anymore. We're creating it. I'm listening to them. They're creating these things in these rooms daily and networking and coming together because they're listening to each other and building the supply networks that we demand and need in order to be successful entrepreneurs. I'm not. I'm just running a church, selling some goofy shirts here. But I support all of them and everything they are doing, and want all the laws moving forward in the correct way. That's why I'm here, preaching weekly about cannabis, the Cannabis Church. People would tell me I need to listen, right? Listen to those naysayers and those haters that would tell me I'm going to hell and I'm driving people down the wrong road with Cannabis Church, and that I'm not a real pastor, and pot is an addiction, not a sacred sacrament. Why would I listen to that? I've listened to that my entire life. I've listened to those points of views. I've grew up surrounded by those talking points my entire life. I was raised right-wing and Republican Mormon. I've heard all of that. And it doesn't hold any water with me. It doesn't hold any weight or credit or credence. So I don't need to listen to that, because I've listened to that for far too long. I listen to my God. I listen to the universe. I listen to my God only, who tells me to use cannabis for my pain, who tells me to use cannabis for my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health, my spiritual health. Because cannabis is my chosen sacred sacrament. This is my religion. Just like I have the freedom of religion, like my great adopted grandfather Joseph Smith, who started the Mormon Church. Just like him, I have the freedom to start my own church, and this is Cannabis Church. I'm Pot Pastor Casey. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting, and just thank you for your support. I am humbled and honored to be here weekly, and I will be here on Twitch weekly, except for the weeks I have guest sermons. Next week is Nydia. Tune in. You do not want to miss Nydia's words. She is a wise ambassador of the universe and touched by the Spirit, I know. Bless her, and I look forward to that. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for listening to the cannabis community. Thank you for listening to the cannabis plant, because I know just growing my own plant, my own medicine has taught me so much about listening to the plant on all of its needs to stay alive and stay healthy, to grow to its full potential, so I can consume it properly the way I deem necessary for my own wellness. And listening to that plant and listening to the cannabis community has taught me what I needed to know to help listen to the plant properly to get it to this stage. To get it to the stage where it's almost there. It's almost ready. Yay! And I look forward to future plants and listening to those and reaping the benefits of those harvests that God put here on this planet for us, for our endocannabinoid system, because that's where we get the most cannabinoids from any source on the planet, not to mention all the proteins, amino acids, and other things that are available in the plant when we digest it as a food source, not just smoking it. Listen to the cannabis community. Listen to the doctors and the scientists, because my doctors keep telling me to use cannabis. I listen to my doctors. So I hope you listen. I hope you listened today and you heard and felt something that makes sense to you today. And if you didn't, I'm sorry, but Cannabis Church ain't for everybody. So, thanks for everybody that does show and continues to show and come back. And for those who are here on the YouTube channel or listening on the official Cannabis Church podcast, bless you. May you be rich in cannabinoids. May the cannabis plant enrich your endocannabinoid system for better health and wellness, personally, physically, spiritually, mentally, physically, socially, and for the planet. Let me pray. Dear universe, thank you for allowing me to be here another week. For I know there are forces out there against me that would wish harm on me. those forces that are listening with ill intentions to Cannabis Church and to the cannabis community. Please protect us from them. Protect the cannabis community. Protect all. Give us balance in life. Give us a healthy endocannabinoid system, a healthy life, a healthy physical life, personally, mentally, physically, spiritually. Just give us health and wellness. Thank you. I'm humbled to be here, universe. I love you, and I know you love me. And please send out all the love and light to those in need right now, especially the light of knowledge, so that they can listen with open intentions and an open heart, open mind, and truly listen. Amen, amen, amen. Thank you for being here.